And this is Expand Your Horizon Preview Edition for the first round games in the Horizon League tournament that are on Tuesday, March 4th, 2025, and the second round game that we know about on Thursday, March 6th. I am Bob McDonald, and joining me, as always, is my co-host, Matt Dudek.
Hey there, everybody.
All right, and of course, as we all know, we are sponsored by the Horizon League, who really wants to let you know this time the tickets are on sale now. I mean, finals are in Indy next week. So make your plans to be in Indy March 10th and 11th for the 2025 Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships. After you get all of the insights from us here at the Horizon Roundtable, visit horizonleague.com/Indy for championships information, including game tickets and the all-new HL individual membership. Fans can become HL members and receive a unique Indy-centric cert, HL glassware, championship tickets, and much more. Remember, March starts here in Indianapolis at Corteva Coliseum, March 10th and 11th. Again, that's next Monday and Tuesday. Let's get right into it. And by the way, if any of these games seem familiar, 2 of the 3 games were repeats from last week. So let's start with Green Bay at Oakland.
Got to start there, huh? The 11-6 matchup.
The 11-6 matchup. So see if you can guess who's the 11 seed and who's the 6 seed here.
Well, I don't feel like Oakland played like much of a 6 seed when they barely squeaked out a win at Green Bay on Saturday. But, now we're in the tournament time, and this is probably going to come up a few different times. But they say it's hard to win against the same team 3 times in a year. And Oakland barely slipped by Green Bay, and now they got to do it again, except on their court again. So I think this one's going to come down to these 2 teams are obviously familiar. Yeah, we're going to saying that's redundant. All the teams are familiar at this point. We're in the tournament time, but
they're on first name basis is what you're saying.
Absolutely. Greg and Doug are like this. And anyway, but I think what this comes down to is what players are available.
Yes.
Green Bay has been dealing with a lot of injuries and sickness. And
more than we know, clearly.
Yeah, clearly. I mean, Jonathan Levy was all of a sudden out. He's been in and out. They just have a bunch of players. Oakland showed up on the Wisconsin trip, without Jalen Jones, who was left back sick because they're trying to make sure he didn't spread to everybody else. And here's a hint: Oakland really needed him on this trip. The lack of ball handler really came into play. If he's good enough to go for Tuesday, that's going to help them tremendously. So that's weird.
We're in the first round of the tournament and first round of the conference tournament, and we're not really sure who's going to be who's going to be playing specifically for Green Bay. As you alluded to, Levy was out, President Riedinger was out, Foster Wonders came back. They only had like 7 guys, and then they actually pulled off a red shirt off of one of their freshmen, Brady Fitzgerald. He didn't play, but he was there just in case somebody fell down. They came very close to having not enough players. So theoretically, I mean, we do see Levy and Riedinger back, and then there's the long-awaited possible, and I know we've been talking about this for weeks, return of Anthony Roy, question mark?
You know what? I hate to say it. I'm a big Anthony Roy fan. I hope he doesn't come back, not because I like Oakland, but at this point, you don't want to throw him out there. If he wasn't ready to play this past week, including on senior night, then he's not ready. Don't put a 60 or 50, 60% Anthony Roy out there. That's not going to help.
No.
Yeah. Who knows the last time he's practiced? I have to imagine he's not good to go. He's not good to go.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And again, Jalen Jones needs to be back. Yeah. They need their point guard. Oakland does.
They do. He doesn't start. Don't get me started on that. But nonetheless, he's their only true ball handler on the team, and he was missed. DQ Cole does some of it when he needs to. Nassim Mashore has been pressed into it, but Greg Campy's admitted he thought he was going to be a point guard. He's not. He's a 2 guard, and he's good at it. But occasionally they ask him to handle the ball. But he's a freshman walk-on playing point guard at times, and that does not always go well. So for Oakland to not only win this game, but to be stronger moving forward from this game as they head back to Milwaukee, hopefully, they're going to need Jalen Jones.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's move on to the next game. This is the 10 seed heading to the 7 seed. In this case, it's Detroit Mercy and heading over to Truist Arena to play Northern Kentucky. Northern Kentucky's kind of on a tear. I didn't notice this, and I probably should have. They won 4 games in a row.
Well, yeah, and real quick before we go too far, I just want to point this out because I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
Oakland almost slipped up against Green Bay, which would have dropped Oakland to the 7th seed here, which would have given us an Oakland-Detroit Mercy.
Round 3 of the Metro Series, that would have been an unintended consequence / benefit for the rest of us who aren't Oakland and Detroit Mercy fans.
In the entire history of Detroit and Detroit Mercy in the Horizon League, they still have not met in the Horizon League tournament. So that was as close as I think we've gotten, but it still hasn't happened. So just had to call that out. All right, Northern Kentucky does end up in the 7th seed. They draw Detroit Mercy coming to Truist. Go ahead, Bob.
But it's interestingly enough, Detroit Mercy and NKU split the series in the regular season. Now, mind you, this is before Northern Kentucky magically woke up and started playing like the Northern Kentucky we remember for all these years. And Detroit Mercy had a pretty rough trip to Milwaukee. I mean, not just Milwaukee, they lost to Green Bay too. So it was a pretty rough Wisconsin trip for them. So, and it just seems like Northern Kentucky is playing really good basketball at this point. And I think it's going to be really tough for Detroit Mercy to kind of overcome that. But at the same time, I don't count out Detroit Mercy for anything, ever.
You know, I hate to play the joke on the name, but this is almost going to be a mercy kill for Northern Kentucky. Detroit Mercy has grinded all year, but every step it becomes somebody's hurt. Legend Jeter is questionable in this game. You know,
True.
He's been in and out. Like Detroit Mercy's just, I really give them a lot of credit. I give Coach Montgomery a lot of credit for what he's done in this first year, where first-year coach is already hard. But then you add on, I mean, same things that Doug Gottlieb's doing in Green Bay. You just have players in and out, and it's constant injury, and there's roster turnover. It's all these things that are just kind of anomalies, really, mid-season. And Detroit Mercy's been doing it, and Northern Kentucky's on a tear right now. Like I just really don't see Detroit Mercy going into Truist and knocking off Northern Kentucky, but it's the Horizon League. So, you know, Horizon League tournament, Detroit Mercy is going to bring everything they've got to try to keep this season alive a little bit longer, probably just playing for one another.
All right. Well, let's close out that first round. 8 o'clock Eastern game. IU Indy is going to Wright State, and this one's anybody's game, honestly, because IU in the last game of the regular season, Wright State went to IU Indy. IU Indy handled Wright State in the last game of the season. And I don't know if Paul Zelinskis is going to put up 31 points again, but I wouldn't count it out.
I wouldn't count it out either. I mean, obviously it's an 8-9 matchup, so on the day it's going to be the one that's closest, but I'm super excited for this game. This is the game to watch. These two teams know each other and can kind of go at one another. And if IU Indy's shooting well, that's what they do. And if they get it going, you know they can knock off Wright State. But at the same time, Wright State's capable. We know this about them.
Of course they are.
Brandon Knoll, who we all expected to be the Horizon League Player of the Year. He's not going to be, and he shouldn't be. But he's played really well. They've got Alex Hubris, who seems to disappear for times, then shows up and drops 30 points all of a sudden on 10-3. Like, they're capable. They just don't always.
Exactly. So those are the first round games. Since we have a second round game that we know about, that is a for sure game. It's going to be Purdue Fort Wayne heading to Zidane Family Arena to play Youngstown State. We'll preview that here in a moment. But before we do that, I want to let you guys know, Horizon League fans, to be on the lookout for your school's release of Horizon League co-branded merchandise at shop.horizonleague.org. That's right, one-of-a-kind T-shirts with fun takes on Horizon League school logos and mascots are on sale now. All of them are out now. So 2 schools were scheduled to be released every week, and they're all in. So keep it locked on the HL social media channels or visit shop.horizonleague.org. You know they're going to pop up those T-shirts again, so you definitely want to get one of those. Matt, I know you're super happy about Pioneer Pete making a return.
I love anytime Pioneer Pete comes out. Bob, I mean, obviously CSU is a big thing for you, but like, which one is your favorite?
Not Vike. Apparently, I'm the only person on our staff who's not a fan of Vike.
I mean, you might be the only one. So which is your favorite?
Hagar the Horrible, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't think they have licenses for that one anymore, though. So, which is why they don't use them. Anyway, so let's talk about this Purdue Fort Wayne Youngstown State matchup. Purdue Fort Wayne kind of fell off a little bit at the end of the season. Not helping matters was the last game of the year. No Jalen Jackson.
Purdue Fort Wayne is frustrating. Boy, are they frustrating. Anytime we have high expectations, they just seem to falter. So with that in mind, coming in where they're coming in and expectations are a little bit lower, maybe they get going a little bit.
Huh?
Well, reverse psychology from Kaufman, huh?
Okay, that works for me, I suppose. Youngstown State had a little bit of a problem this week, too. Not so much, although it was just against Northern Kentucky, a really surging Northern Kentucky, might be albeit. So they are coming back they're coming back home. Big question mark for them, EJ Farmer. I know he's been down the last few games with an illness. Is he coming back? And that's going to be a big question mark.
It's so unfortunate and weird to be this time of the year and having these questions, and especially when it's around illness and not injury, it makes it even harder. If someone goes down with injury and we know, hey, they're out for the season, they're done. But like, just a lot of question marks around a lot of these teams. But then, as you mentioned with Fort Wayne, you've got Jalen Jackson, who was out with illness. So is he okay? Are we good to go? I mean, flu's running amok. Let me tell you, it's crazy even in my house right now. So like, it's taking people out. So who's going to be 100%? Really has it spread to the team? We don't know, and I'm guessing it's flu. Who knows? So there's a lot going on, and who's healthy and who's going to go. That's a big part of this.
Well, I will say this, Matt. I will say this. EJ Farmer only scored 9 points in the last time these two teams played, and this was the game that Youngstown State won by more than 20 in Youngstown. So even if they don't get 100% of EJ Farmer, they got so many guys up and down that bench that could hurt Purdue Fort Wayne pretty badly. And again, I hate to belabor this because I know I probably said that at least a couple of times during the preview podcast, but size is going to be an issue here, especially when you got guys like Nico Gillette, Chris Carroll, and obviously Gabe Dines are going to be coming in.
And that really tall guy that they have coming off.
That really tall guy, yeah.
No, and I mean, but that's something we always talk about with Youngstown is they should always have the advantage down low with pretty much everything. I can think of maybe two teams they don't necessarily have the advantage, but Fort Wayne's not one of them. They should absolutely dominate there, but those Fort Wayne guards are so good. There's a reason that we've expected Fort Wayne to be a top 2 or 3 team. That's not where they're at right now, but we've seen those glimpses. We've seen what they're capable of, and it's hard to go against them here, But one thing that you mentioned, this game is being played in Youngstown, and that's a really, they've really turned that environment around the past few years. It started with previous coach Jared Calhoun, and it's really rolled through here, and it's become a really good home court advantage, I think, for the Penguins.
And that is going to be a big problem too, for Purdue Fort Wayne, because they're going to pack them into that arena. One last thing I will mention before we go: if whoever wins this game will be the 4th Horizon League team to win 20 games, joining Cleveland State, Robert Morris, and Milwaukee.
I got to be honest. At the beginning of the year, I would not have had that list, but here we are.
All right. So Matt, this is going to wrap it up for this preview pod. I don't think we're going to have enough time to do the other second round game. So this is it.
It's been a blast. I hope people have enjoyed listening. We again thank the Horizon League for asking us to do this and sponsoring it, and I hope it's been insightful for folks. It's been a lot of fun to put together.
And in the event we do this next year, man, I'm gonna have to find a new co-host, man.
I would recommend the same one that's gonna do the other podcast with you.
That could be true. So, all right. So that's gonna wrap it up for us here. You can find all of our articles and episodes of this podcast and our regular podcast at horizonroundtable.com. You can pull this podcast up wherever podcasts are available. And of course, you can pull this up on your Amazon or Google devices. So with that said, that wraps it up. Thank you all for listening.